Today I'm going to present on building and improving accessible web and ramp. Started this presentation by thinking about kind of our business practices, how we've evolved. So during the course of the presentation, putting it together, kind of topic shifted slightly, but we've had a ton of folks just ask generally about how, what our story is, how we've gotten to where we're at, and just how we operate, what kind of the underlying, uh, mission and ethos is here. So, so where we start here is, as web professionals, I assume everyone on this call is some sort of web or mobile application technical professional. Um, so so the web technology is constantly changing. We're in the midst of an AI boom right now. Everything is AI, and this happens. I've been doing this type of work since like 98, 99 when I was still in high school, and I've seen quite a few of these different evolutions, different waves, different bubbles, and that's what makes this space, this profession so exciting is that there's always something new coming over the horizon. There's always new opportunities to learn. If you're an agency, there's always new technologies that you can provide to your customers. And so, just some examples that I've seen during my career of running an agency and running accessible web. We saw CMSs come out, so WordPress, Joomla, Magento, they really changed the game for website design and development, changed us from building static HTML files and uploading via FTP to having, theme libraries and database-driven websites. Search engine optimization, that was a practice kind of between the CMS and SEO and a little bit of paid search is where we got the start at our agency, Bytes Co. Analytics came out all of a sudden, the little counter at the bottom of your website wasn't enough anymore, and you had all this data about where people were visiting from, what they were looking at on your website, how they found you, how are they converting. Mobile responsiveness. This is one I draw parallels to all the time with web accessibility. Early 20 teens, everyone started wondering how we were gonna make these new pocket computers work with websites. There were a lot of different approaches. We had to update a lot of websites during that time, learn to build new websites with a new skill set. So there's always something new to learn and coming down the pipeline. Always something new to implement at your company and to figure out. And so web accessibility is no different. So we found web accessibility. I guess I found web accessibility in 2016. Built this beautiful website at our agency, and I was showing it to my mother-in-law, Annette, over Thanksgiving, and she couldn't see it. She has some vision issues, and she was politely pretending to use it. So I kind of went back to the office. She pointed out that there were some color contrast issues. It wouldn't zoom. So went back to the office, discovered web accessibility, and found myself on the beginning of a new technology, a new adoption curve. And so every one of these technologies that I just mentioned, I kind of think of it as a similar technology adoption curve that I go through, that our customers, agencies, SaaS companies go through. So, when something's new, when I first found web accessibility, found WCAG, and the first thing you've got to do with anything new is wrap your head around it, kind of dive in, start reading, scour the web, find some new tools, and you have to learn a new practice, and you have to do it a few times. Find a couple customers, clients that might be willing to let you experiment a little bit, try something new on your own website or product. So you're at the beginning of the curve, and it's about learning, and it's about figuring out how to do the work correctly. As you get more comfortable with it, and kind of where we're at, I think with web accessibility as it's evolving, is you got to become proficient. So you know how to do it. Now you've got to figure out, okay, how can I package this up to my customers? How can I sell this? I know how to do it well, but how can I do it efficiently? How can I create processes so that I'm consistent and that I can teach other folks to do this? And then there's also usually this period of, okay, I've got to fix all these old websites. I've got to make all these old websites responsive. I've got to add SEO to all these old websites. I've got to create landing pages for digital ads or get Google Analytics set up on these old websites. But around the same time, you also should start building, everyone starts building this into their proposals, building this into the new websites or applications just from scratch. Like you're comfortable with it. Let's stop fixing it after the fact. Let's start working this into our process. And then, and so that's kind of where the proficiency side is where we're finding web accessibility to be right now. And then you end up with this kind of established practice, established technology. This is where your customers just expect this to be built into your proposal. Of course, if you're building a website, it's going to work on a phone. Of course, if you're building a website, it's going to show up on Google. So here is where accessibility is hopefully going to be in the near future. Of course, any web developer building a website is going to implement WCAG best practices and have some manual audits and testing done as part of the process. And when you become established as well, it's important to start to empower your customers, your clients to be helping. Maybe they know how to write SEO content. They know how to use the accessible web checker to scan their page before they hit publish on a blog post. And then also you want to make sure the different, maybe lower technically skilled members of your team are able to do the work. So as it becomes established, it's about spreading the word, spreading the responsibility to other members of your team so that, many hands makes light work. If everyone's contributing, it just gets done really thoroughly. So that's kind of the goal of where we want to get to with these technologies. So yeah, with accessible web, we found accessibility at Bytesco at my agency, and we started, we went through this process. We started figuring out best practices, learning about WCAG, learning, looking for tools, realized that we wanted to do this the right way. We didn't want to get involved with overlays. We wanted to help build this in from the foundation of websites and implement it correctly. We realized this was a big opportunity. It kept popping up in proposals. It kept, more and more people were asking for it. Articles were coming out in industry blogs and whatnot. And this is kind of a good one too. This just felt good. Like when I found accessibility, I was kind of deep into thinking about, Facebook ads and, is this really what I'm going to be about? Is just helping Zuckerberg make a bunch more money? But accessibility, especially when you're doing it correctly, it feels good. You're helping a lot of folks, and it's just good usability. It's a great skill to have. So at Bytesco, we decided to build accessible web, and initially we built it within our agency. It was owned by the agency, and then from there we spun it out around 2020 and really got to work. So as we spun it out, we've taken this services to products approach here at Accessible Web. So this is a big part of how we've developed our product over time is we try to find a service. So WCAG audits was an early service that we found folks needed. Support in dealing with ADA lawsuits was something they needed help with. So what we've done here is we create services, kind of one person does a one-off service, tries to figure out how to build a website, how to do a WCAG audit. And then we try to have that person, after they've done it a couple times, train another person on our team on that service. And how's that transition work? Is it packaged up in a way that we can have two people doing the service consistently? From there, we try to build a process with those two where we can pass the service off to the team and have it something we can more broadly offer to our clientele. And then once we have a service with a process and everyone internally is unified around it, the documentation starts building up. The best practices start building up. And so from there, we build a internal product. And with that internal product, we start to use it and we figure out, okay, what's the ins and outs? How's this working? What do we need to build better? And then from there, we launch it to our customers. So I'll give you some examples in a minute, but this services idea, we've built the company offering a ton of services, and those services that we've created internally are what have become our products. So when we launch products to our customers, we really take the approach of creating MVPs. So we don't want to overthink it too much. We want to create a minimum viable product, not assume we know what our customers need or that our customers are going to have the exact workflow that we have. So we do try to kind of strip things down a little bit when we go from internal to a public tool. And then we put it out into the world and we watch our customers use it. We interact with our customers as they use it. We work alongside our customers as they use the tool, and we collect that feedback, and that's how we improve it over time. Is let's see where we nailed it, where we missed it, and we've definitely had some misses. Again, I can talk about that briefly in a minute, but yeah, services turn to products, and then that's kind of the beginning of the product journey. From there, we iterate and improve based on what we're seeing our customers use our products for. So I'm gonna have 3 slides here, and this is kind of you'll see it follows along that adoption curve a little bit, where the early tools that we had, we started looking out for different accessibility tools when we were getting started. We couldn't find any that were affordable. Again, we didn't want to do an overlay, so we kind of threw that out immediately. That was not the approach. There were some platforms out there that let us do accessibility, that seemed like they would be the right tool, but they were wildly expensive. They were built for enterprises. So as we started building, one of the first things we did was build our automated scanner tool. So we built it into Ramp. Figured we could, similar to how SEMrush or Google Search Console, our first version of Ramp was called Console because we were copying Google Search Console and doing for accessibility what they did for SEO. So we built the scanner that would find accessibility issues across the whole website instead of having to scan page by page by page like you might have to do in Lighthouse. So built that accessibility scanning system. We built our guided audit tool. So that was a tool that helped us consistently move through WCAG audits so that we had documentation of all the steps, all the edge cases, and basically figured out how to do audits efficiently and consistently across multiple team members. And then around the same time, we also built our Chrome extension, and that was a tool that let us scan and find issues on any web page. And then we also ended up building our audit tool into that. So a lot of our first tools were about finding issues, finding accessibility issues on a website. That was kind of the first thing we had to tackle. Next, we started moving to that proficiency. So now we're trying to figure out how to build websites, how to manage the remediation, how to get our more team members in and involved and organized. So we set up a whole remediation task system with different workflows and statuses to help us manage all these failures that we were finding on websites and apps. We built a whole library of remediation recommendations. So we realized, okay, this is great. We're finding problems. AxeCore is really good at finding problems with automated scanning. Our manual audit process is finding problems, but how do we fix it? We should build a whole library on the most common ways we're fixing. So built in that remediation recommendation so that we'd find problems and have the solutions right at your fingertips. We also built in some automated scanning aggregation. So instead of just fixing issues on individual pages, when you scan a full website, one thing that pops out is you have a ton of issues that might be in your header or your footer and repeated across the site. So we kind of set that up. We set up accessibility logging so you could keep track and publicly display the work you've been doing. And we also set up our initial version of Accessible Web Academy to start training our customers. And then recently, we're kind of getting into this shifting left, shifting into helping folks find accessibility issues earlier, helping to show, like with our manual audit grid, that's built to provide visibility to share to stakeholders, senior leadership teams, product owners, clients on what needs to be fixed. We built a new compliance center, I think earlier this year, late last year. The goal of that is to kind of take all the pieces of RAMP and put it into a clear checklist of actions to achieve compliance. We have a Figma kit that helps when you're doing designs in Figma. You can now check them for various WCAG best practices before you start writing code. And then we've also rolled out program management over the course of this summer, where we're working a lot more closely, in a more, customized, but also we have some standardized processes, working a lot more closely with our customers as part of our RAMP Pro and Pro Plus plans to help them implement, processes, solutions, get their team onboarded, get their customers on board, and get everyone familiar with accessibility. So again, we kind of went from how do we do the work, how do we find the issues, how do we start to fix the issues, how do we get the team to be fixing the issues and understanding how to do this at scale, and then now it's about shifting left. It's about getting more folks on. So hopefully we have a tool. We're obviously going to continue improving, but it's really kind of rounding out to support that whole life cycle that the industry is going through and that everyone has to go through. So it's been really cool. One of the most rewarding things in this journey has been, being on the front lines of creating this technology for folks, watching, supporting the community, different professionals, whether they're using our tools or not. It's been cool seeing everyone learn this skill set, like being along from the very early stages to where we are today, where this is definitely maturing as an industry and everyone within it's maturing. So still a lot more people to bring into the fold. A lot of folks that could still use our tools, a lot of very inaccessible websites and apps out there, but it's cool to see everything progressing. And yes, AI, I kind of mentioned it. We're in the AI bubble right now. We are implementing AI. That's kind of one of the next things we're trying to figure out. That's the curve we're in right now, and we're still in the early stages. We built a statement generator that's part of RAMP that's coming out next week. We're being pretty careful with this new technology as we figure out how to do it properly, and we want to balance the power of it with the kind of human nature of accessibility. But yeah, let us know what you think we should build next. And we'd say too, like we are always, this looks a little creepy maybe the way we have it phrased, but we're watching and listening. But we're monitoring how folks use RAMP. We're talking to customers. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your ideas. We want to hear about that weird edge case of how you're using our tool in maybe a different way that we weren't thinking about. So if you have any ideas, if there's anything we can do to make RAMP work better for you, or if you just found a bug that we should know about, let us know. And RAMP keeps getting better. I think we have one of the best accessibility platforms out there, and we're improving every day, and it's because of the feedback from our customers. We can help you. We have software, audit, services, education, training. So yeah, I've pitched enough today on the businesses, but you know where to get in touch if you wanna learn more about what we can offer. And let's break. Let's do some